All right, so another dynamic speaker who I have gotten a glimpse of, Kelly Master. Kelly Master is a dynamic, tenacious leader who is fiercely committed to advocate for the sexually exploited. She is a strong, passionate speaker who draws upon healing from past addictions, abuse, and shattered dreams to elevate and inspire people. When Kelly was first exposed to the reality of sex trafficking, she absolutely refused to turn a blind eye, and she founded Dining for Dignity as a platform to raise awareness about sexual exploitation and human trafficking. She is a sought-out expert who is called upon regularly to guest lecture at universities, at churches, and other public venues. Although widely recognized for her anti-trafficking efforts, she is also known for her powerhouse messages of hope and grace, and she directs an organization. It's named Emerge. It offers unconditional love and encouragement to ladies in the adult industry. Kelly Master.
Hello. I am so excited, and I am new to wearing hats as well, so I keep looking in a mirror to make sure you can see my eyes and, and pulling it down, but it's so much fun because I love being a girl, and I love dressing up, and I think all of us do, don't we? I mean, and yeah, girl power, yes. So thank you, Angela. It's such an honor to be invited to be here today. It's such a privilege to have the opportunity to join my voice with all of yours, with the voices on the panelists, to stand up for women, but not in a detrimental way, in a way that Angela spoke about empowering, about encouraging, about inspiring, about the opportunity to reach out to other women and say, you know what? I know that there is something great in you, and getting up beside them and believing in them. You know, as they mentioned, I have two organizations. One's called Dining for Dignity, and that is the public platform where I go out and I speak on human trafficking and sexual exploitation. And I want to tell you what started that. What was the fire that just got me moving with that? Because I was just a housewife, you know? I was at home. I was a housewife, a mom. I have 5 children, and I was busy. But there was something in me that wanted to do more. There was something in me that wanted to make a difference. There was something in me just tenacious enough to know that, you know what, I can use my voice, and I can use my platform, and I can do something of significance. And I didn't know what it was, but I'm going to tell you, I stumbled upon a video on Facebook a few years ago. And in that video, it was an undercover sting going down. It was a gentleman named Aaron Cohen who's passionate about human trafficking. And it was all grainy, this video, and it was in Cambodia. And the video was letting you know, it was taking you into brothels in Cambodia and exposing the reality that little girls were being sold for sex in Cambodia. And I sat there and I watched that video and I was undone. I watched a 10-year-old girl be brought out. All this man had to do was step out of a car and say, hey, I want a little girl. And they all ran and said, not a problem, we'll take you. And brothel after brothel in Cambodia, right in daylight, right in the broad daylight, right in front of everyone, he was taken into brothels and he said, I want a young girl. And they brought him out a 10-year-old little girl, and he said, I want something younger. And one by one, they brought in girl after girl until there was a little girl. She couldn't have been older than 5 years old. Yeah. And I sat there in front of my computer, and as I watched this little girl pressed against the wall, hands behind her back, head held down because she was scared. 5-year-old little girl saying this mantra, and it was yum yum, $30, yum yum, $30. Yum yum is oral sex in the vernacular, the Cambodia vocabulary. A 5-year-old little girl in 2015 being sold for sex in open daylight in Cambodia. I was undone, and I thought, you know what? This is unacceptable. I am not going to shut my computer off and walk away. It was that day that I coined a phrase that said ignorance is no longer ignorance. Once you know the facts, it then becomes a choice. And I had a choice to make that day, ladies. I had a choice to shut that computer off and go about my day and pretend that it didn't bother me. Or I had a choice to be a voice for that little girl. That little girl is somebody's daughter. That little girl is somebody's sister. That little girl needs somebody to raise their voice and say, no way, not on my watch. I am not letting that go down. And I was undone and I was consumed, and that's what started this in the very beginning. And I watched video after video. I read book after book. I read article after article. I was consumed and I was undone. But see, you can be upset about something, but it's nothing until you put action to it. So was I upset, or was I upset enough to take some action? Was I upset enough to use my voice? And I think what happens is we stand before these situations, big situations, human sex trafficking, sex tourism, where men in the United States of America are traveling to other countries to have sex with children because they can. Because they can. Sex tourism. You can make a trip to Disney through a travel agency, and you can take a trip to have sex with children through travel agencies. It is a real thing. The more you look into it, the bigger it is and the uglier it is. And I stood before a mountain, and I said, what am I going to do about this? And I thought, you know what? I might not be able to take down the whole mountain, but I'm going to do my part. I'm going to do my part. Yes, we can do our part as women. We can. Yeah. I read a book. It was written by a newspaper columnist. It was this book, and it was called A Crime So Monstrous. And it started in New York City. And it took you, Helen, through a process that in 5 hours, this man sat with a broker in New York City in a hotel. And what they were negotiating was the price of a child from Haiti. Tell me what size, what age, what sex. You want a boy, you want a girl. How old you want that child? They were negotiating the price of a child in a hotel in New York City. The man got onto an airplane. He wasn't going to really buy the child. He just wanted us to see that this is a reality. And he flew down to Haiti. And do you know how much he paid for a little child? Complete with papers to do whatever he wanted to that child? $40. $40 bought him a child that he could recklessly harm. It was horrible. I sat there and I said, you know what, God? I have to do something. It might not take down everything, but I'm going to do my part. I'm going to use my voice. I'm going to use my platform. And if I don't have a platform, ladies, I created one. Dining for Dignity. Yes? I created one because I needed a place that I could get out there, and I could knock on the mayor's door, and I could knock on the politicians' doors, and I could knock on the New Jersey State Assembly General's doors, and I could knock on the newspapers' doors, and I could knock on my neighbors and the community leaders, and I could say, hey, guess what? Sex trafficking is happening. It's real, and we need to do something about it. And you know what I found? And it was really discouraging, but I'm here to tell you, don't let discouragement stop you from walking out in that which you have been called to. Don't let discouragement stop you from your destiny, because you will be discouraged, but you need to know what you need to do so that you can stand up against that discouragement. And I just got the 5-minute sign, so it's like, whew. But I realized that people weren't believing me in New Jersey. And so what I had to do is I had to bring it home to New Jersey. I had to let the other countries sit for a moment, because there's a detachment when it's going on in other countries. So I started bringing the reality that 12 to 14 years old is the average age of a sex trafficking victim in the United States of America. I started bringing that to the doors of the mayor and the governor and everybody in our state, and letting them know that 12 to 14 years old, that's unacceptable. That children, our babies, our brothers, our sisters are being pimped on the streets of New Jersey, and it's unacceptable. And so that's what we began doing. We began saying, you know what? We're going to take this on. We're going to make a difference. And hand in hand with that, we have another organization called Emerge, and I have to wrap it up quickly here, but Emerge deals with the illegal side of the sex industry. We go out into the sex industry. We go out into strip clubs every single month, and we reach out to 300 women a month, and our whole goal is restoration. My goal is not to get them out of the club. My goal is to get in there and say, woman to woman, sister, you have value. You have worth. You have destiny. You have greatness within you. See, woman to woman, there is something in you, and it's not summed up in your sexuality. It's summed up in the reality that you are born and created in the image of God, and I believe in you. And all it takes is one person to believe in you, to see your whole destiny change. And let me tell you, when your destiny changes, you're changing the destiny of generations. Because when one girl knows her value and her worth, and that she's worth more than sex, when she's worth more than sleeping with 10 men at night and dancing on a pole, when one woman knows her worth and value, and we're speaking that into her, she's going to rise up and she's going to become a different woman. She's going to become a different mother. She's going to be a different grandmother, and lineages, heritages will change when we use our voice with wisdom to speak life and to speak destiny into others. And so I'm sure I'm right at that minute moment, so I'm going to end it there. Thank you.